Hello, everybody. Welcome to Green Vibes podcast. And today we are very special guest. Today we are here with Derrick Green. So Derrick Green is an American musician, singer of Brazilian heavy metal band Sepultura, co-host of travel plant-based TV show, and veganuary ambassador. Derek, welcome here. Thank you very much for being here with us at the Green Vibes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. So, first of all, it's a pleasure because I'm a huge fan of Sepultura, right? Since 1989, I'm from Brazil. Everybody's know I'm from Brazil. Sepultura, it's a Brazilian band. So, since 1989, I'm a fan of Sepultura. And since then, watch every time that I have a chance to watch the show, watch the
Right.
concert, listen music. So for me, I'm very happy to have you here, Derek. I'm very happy.
Excellent. Glad to hear you're a big fan.
Yes, I am. So, Derek, I know, first of all, that you are vegan, right?
Correct.
And tell me, when did it happen that you become vegan
Mhm,
and why?
mhm. Well, I started to not eat meat starting at the age of 15 years old.
You
Um,
were pretty young, right?
I was extremely young.
Yeah, 15.
15, and
I feel bad because we are vegan for 4 years now, I think.
no. I mean, there's a whole story that builds up to
Okay.
becoming vegan. So I stopped eating meat
Mm.
at the age of 15. I was a vegetarian when I first started.
Okay.
I didn't really know too much about the effects of eating meat and how it had an effect on the planet. Um, I wasn't really aware of the industry of how corrupted and how
That's what is
um,
really happening inside these companies, right?
right. Yeah. I mean, at that age, I was just really for myself to see if it really made a difference because I had friends who were vegans and vegetarians, and they told me that it was mind changing. It's like soul changing, and I was young and rebellious, and I didn't believe any of it. I didn't believe anything that was told to me at all. A lot of times, I always questioned it, and I wanted to investigate it, and I was like, well, in order for me to even have an argument with these people, I need to do it myself, to really go deep and try to be a vegetarian. So I
Exactly.
did that. And I started reading books about it. I started reading books about the industry. Luckily, we were made to read a book in school called The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. And he was a writer that wrote during the time of like the Great Depression in the US. And when he went undercover as far as living with the family in the meatpacking industry.
Okay, so he was inside of
He was
it,
inside. It was like
in-
the first time that anybody had ever done this in the US, and he was
Mhm.
explaining the hardships of families having to work in these industries and what they went through, and a lot of them were coming from Eastern Europe, and they'd come to America, and they pretty much were like slaves on these type
Exactly.
of, it's almost like a plantation, but in a city, where they would never leave and they would just consistently working, but they weren't slaves because they were getting money, but very little money. And so it ended up after reading that book, and it had a big effect on America because Americans had no idea this was happening.
Mhm.
Um, Everything that was going on.
And
And
at that time, you didn't have so many information that we have now, right? It
there was no information.
yeah, there's no
That was the
information.
point that they were doing it. They were
Because
like, well,
nowadays it's easy for you to get information. You go to
right,
the internet, you Google what
right,
happened in these
exactly.
companies.
I
And
think a lot of Americans had no idea what was going on unless you read.
yeah,
And so once people, that was the only information you had, no internet or course back then. Once people start reading the book and it gained popularity, and then the USDA came out of that
Mm.
because of that, because people are like, there needs to be laws regulating, food and how things are processed. Um, and then we get to now where we're at. And I have a better understanding of the industry and their ability to manipulate and to hide um, the process that they go through in creating
Hmm.
such a destructive product
Yeah.
in all realms of the planet and animals, people. So how they're able to do this for so many years, but now with the internet and people's ability to obtain information, you can see that for
Yeah.
yourselves and make a decision by purchasing something other than not supporting those companies. And so I thought this was something that was extremely powerful because America is a country of consumption, and the
Hmm.
power is in what you're buying. And that's why you're getting bombarded by all this commercials daily in the US. It's like really trying to gear you to buy this and buy that. And it's a lot of power in that to you yourself buying those things. So a lot of times people are like, oh, it doesn't make a difference if you yourself are doing these changes, but it does. But
Yeah, because sometimes you think that's only just one or
right,
it's
right,
just me, right?
right.
And imagine if every people thinks the same,
Right.
right?
It becomes something very powerful. So at a young age, I was thinking a lot of these ideas, and as I started to learn more about the industry and how uh, uh, destructive it is, and how it has an impact on the planet, that's when I phased into becoming a vegan. The
Mm,
same reasons that I started as a vegetarian, almost, I was like, oh, I should be a vegan. I mean, I don't
mhm,
see why not. And it was much easier to turn to be a vegan than I imagined. Um, Especially since things had changed, times had changed, and
mm.
the actual products that are out there now never existed before. But I think it's advancing the whole vegan plant based world. So it made it much more interesting, a little bit easier as time went on, to become a vegan, and not use any products as far as leather or anything as well. Just cutting that completely out of my life.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as a for us, that when you become vegans, it's for after we start to see some videos and on the internet,
Hmm.
right? As I thought, if it was before or not, uh, I have to say because my whole life I eat meat,
Right.
right? My family eat meat during
Hmm.
the weekends.
Yeah. Yeah.
On Sunday, it's traditional. Every Sunday we have to do barbecue. My dad love it,
Right.
right? So, but after we get this information, because I start to work with environment in 2010,
Hmm.
but I just saw about the destruction with the environment, but not what happened with the companies,
Right.
right? What
Right.
happened in the background
Right.
with those animals, right?
Right.
Então,
Right? Since
but you every eat meat long time.
yeah, since I
But
was born,
me
I
no.
eat meat.
I
Hmm.
never liked the meat.
Right.
Never. I eat because my mommy. You have to eat meat.
Right.
Sometimes cultures and the traditions
No,
in the families
absolutely.
is worse because I raising my mommy. You have to eat. You have to eat. And I make the same thing with my son. And my son, mom, I don't like it. My son
Hmm.
don't like meat
Hmm.
until today. Don't like me. My son when younger, 2 3 years,
Hmm.
child, don't like milk.
Hmm.
Just drink the soya milk.
Soy milk,
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
Use it to drink soy
The
milk.
people look for me. How so?
Hmm.
Your child need milk.
Right.
No, don't eat it.
Right.
He
Yeah,
don't
because
like
even the
it.
doctors, right, when they are
Yeah.
kids, they said, oh, you have to get the proteins for the meat, you have
Right.
to get the
Right.
milks, and it's not, right? We can see that
Yeah.
we have options.
No, absolutely. I think a lot of it, is that tradition, that people get stuck in. But humanity is always learning and changing, and that's something
Hmm.
that's incredible. And with that ability to learn and changes, people start to find out certain things. I mean, there are a lot of things that people did in the past that just seem idiotic and stupid, and we changed that.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same with the idea that you need to um, kill every animal just for protein,
If we're
and
exactly, does
just
not
live
make
in
sense.
that mindset, or oh, this is tradition. We have to keep doing idiotic things over and over just because somebody did it a long time ago,
It's
and
exactly
not even
Thanksgiving, right? That
right,
they need to have the turkey at
right.
the table.
I mean, and a lot of times they don't even know why they're doing those things. So that's
Yeah.
when you have to stop and question, like, what's going on? And a lot more information, like you said, you start to learn more. Like, okay, the body doesn't need that. But especially people living in a metropolitan city, it doesn't make any sense. I think even less sense to eat meat. Um, so
Because we have the option, right?
you have a
When
million
you are in the
different options,
metropolitan, we have more options
right?
to
You,
buy. You if you want to switch for something that's animal free,
mhm.
you can, right?
And especially now, more so than ever. There's so
Mm.
many options for people that love the taste of meat and find it very hard to break away from that. There's so many options now for them, um, that I think, are revolutionary, changing, making people have that transfer, even if they're
Hmm.
not going to transfer to be completely plant based, but to eat less. And I think that's
Exactly.
really important for people to really understand that, you know, my goal isn't out to make people stop eating meat. I just know that's impossible for people to the entire planet to do that.
To the
But
exactly.
I'm very realistic in people changing their I think it's possible for people to change their diet as
Hmm.
far as, their lifestyle. I think that's
At least
that's
they
something
need,
that can
if
be
they can
changed.
try,
At least
right?
try,
At
right.
least try. Maybe
Because
they feel better for the body. If, let's think, because we think in animals, but it's good for their health also.
but
If you see the people that have has high
right.
cholesterol, diabetes,
Yeah.
once they stop eat animals,
Right.
it's
But
it's reduced.
it's difficult because I knew at a very young age and started to notice the people around me and their health and things like that, and the fact that people were eating a lot of processed food in America and it was getting stronger and stronger.
Mm,
I mean, I noticed this at a very young age because I think my parents would never take us to like fast food places, only maybe as a treat on the weekend. It's like it wasn't an everyday like we're eating fast food. And I think everything changed in America when it became so pushed upon people, like I was saying
exactly.
before, with like all these commercials bombarding, like, oh, you need to eat here
And they need
quick,
a fast
fat,
environment, right?
fast, and processed food. Along with that, I knew that all the health changes would be happening. So people were going to end up having to change their way of thinking because it's going to affect their health in the end. It was
Hmm.
something that was inevitable that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So the high blood pressure, the cholesterol, the obesity that exists in America,
Hmm.
it's only been getting worse. It started a while ago and it's just been slowly killing a lot of Americans and people all around the world because people emulate America. They're always looking to it a lot of times of like, oh, this is the new trend and it's very powerful. But like I said, that advertisement that that's bombarded, you're if you're in America, you're being bombarded by it 24/7. And it's extremely powerful. And
Yeah.
all these companies spend so much money in
Money.
marketing in
Hmm.
this because they know they can psychologically get inside your head, which they have. And so it's hard for people to make those changes or to see outside of the box. They just it ends up being something that's hard to break away from, but
Yeah.
not impossible.
And the people's now it's working more and more and less time to make this own meal at home, right? They need
Yes.
something fast. Where they
True.
go,
Right.
fast food,
And,
right?
and and like I said, with since you have so much processed food and people suffering and taking tons of medication in order
Yeah.
Yeah.
to reverse or try to help the what made them sick, which was the food that they're eating and their lifestyle. Um, there are those. I mean, the plant based lifestyle just speaks for itself. I think a lot of people I've seen at like let's say my high school reunion that I
Mm,
went to, and they're just like, wow, like oh my god, and just noticing the changes that people have had and everything, and people like, what are you eating? What are you doing? It's not only the food that you're intaking, but it's also your attitude. It's also
yeah.
your if you're exercising, it's numerous things that can help and that change that can help you feel happier and live longer. And so that was something a process that I had to learn as well. So it's not only just one thing. It's numerous things,
Even
and
things that's involved with
right,
this.
right. But the more I learned about um just the industry, my body, the planet, um, I think that has an impact on other people. You know, a lot of other people come to me and they're like, "Oh, I want to try this meal today," or "I want to try something different," or "I
Hmm.
want to." So it's great to be able to give people advice or let people know what I'm doing as far as what's helping me to stay fit or to feel healthy and have a positive attitude. You know, because I think a lot of what you eat also has an effect on your mental
Well,
health as well.
yeah.
And so it goes all around. It's all connected. You know.
And do you think you are talking about this? That's good. I remember. Because, do you think that because you were play in a international band,
Hmm.
right? People know you for around the world.
Hmm.
Do you influence some people that to get vegan? Do you think that you can do this
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
your public, with your audience that's from Sepultura, or it's hard for those kind of people?
No, no, I think a lot of that stuff happens naturally. You know, a lot of the stuff as far as lyrics and passion that we put in the music is something that's um part of our personality.
Yeah,
So for part of my personality, there are certain songs that I didn't push the full agenda of like making it so blatant, like this is a song about
yeah,
veganism
yeah,
and you know,
exactly.
and you should be vegan or anything like that. I mean, we had a song called Convicted in Life
Mhm.
and the video for it was I got in Brazil from a documentary on the meat industry in Brazil, and I thought that was intriguing because it's such a big meat eating country. You know, the
Yeah,
culture's surrounded by churrascarias and
yeah.
eating
As
meat,
I
and
told you, for me, it's every
yeah,
weekend.
I
It's a
understand.
barbecue.
It was barbecue and everyone when I moved there, everyone like, "Oh, I can't believe you don't eat meat. That's impossible." I was like, "It's not
The same
impossible."
thing there.
Or
Mhm.
and just the misconception that people had. But I think it like watching that video for myself, the documentary. I think it was like "Meat is Weak" or something like that. Carne é fraca or something like that.
Mm.
And so wrote to the director. I was like, "Hey, do you think we can use some of the images from your video
The videos
because
that
it
you have.
kind of relates to what we're writing the album about?" The album was about Dante Alighieri and
Hmm.
is about the Divine Comedy. Gets super deep, but
Yeah.
anyway, like the idea of the album was Divine Comedy, and we're gonna write an album following the steps of Dante, and so I felt that what you're doing, kind of like a karmic thing, like what you're eating and it's gonna have
Hmm.
an effect in the afterlife, and the afterlife was like showing all the stuff that's happening with trees getting cut
Yes.
down and cows being slaughtered and pigs
Mhm.
because of people eating it, and then in the afterlife there'll be like pigs eating their brains, and it
Mhm.
was like really radical and really strong, and it got a lot of views, but it wasn't being able to be shown on MTV. It was just like too much. Like, we can't really show this. But the video was one of my favorites. But that had an influence because of my idea of plant based lifestyle and everything. But it wasn't blatantly put out there. It was something that was kind of like hidden in the idea of the song, and so that worked really well.
That's something that people, when they see, they realize that something behind this video, right?
Right, right, right. It makes them think, and they have their
Make
own ideas. And the same with the Guardians of Earth. I saw you had a video there
Yeah,
playing.
that's the one I love it. That's why I put it there.
Mhm,
So I want you to talk about a little bit about Guardians of Earth because Amazon, right, is the center of rainforest in the world. So
mhm.
we have everything there. I
Right.
think it's amazing forest. I have opportunity to be there in 2013 that I was there.
Mhm.
I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's
It's
huge.
it's
Peoples that's
magical.
living there.
Yeah.
It's magical. It's
Right.
magical. But I saw the news last week, 2 weeks ago, that on February they
Mm.
just beat the highest deforestation that happened ever in the Amazon. And if you see the video for Guardians of Earth,
Hmm.
that's what I talk about, right?
Right.
Tell me about a little bit about this Guardian of Earth.
Well, that started with the lockdown. Like even before, I was really becoming intrigued by this Instagram page, and I I I was just kind of blown away with the fact that a lot of laws are being reversed once there was new political people in power all
Mhm.
throughout South America, not only Brazil with
Yeah.
Bolsonaro, but um, and so I was looking at this page, Amazon Frontlines, and a lot of it was dealing with the Amazon and the indigenous people there, and the fact that they were being murdered, especially
Hmm.
in Brazil,
Yeah.
um, and no law to really protect them, no law out there in the middle of the Amazon, because I don't think a lot of people have an understanding of how intense
Yeah,
the Amazon and
it
how
is. It ex-
you know
and
yeah.
and Sepultura, it's bit in the. I saw that they talk about this since the roots,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
The roots, they talk about the indigenous people that lives there,
Hmm.
and they are losing their property there. They are losing
Right.
their part.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to really, I mean, I visualize and I just could understand the fact, especially being in America, that the fact that there's this, in North America as well, just a genocide of Indians, of indigenous people, and that's always been kind of like the direct
Mhm.
goal from the very beginning of when the Europeans came to North America, was like genocide. Let's get them out.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
if anyone thinks differently, then they're wrong. I mean, you look at every aspect of that. It was like, we don't care. We want them gone, like
Exactly.
exterminated, and it's terrifying, but it's a fact, and it's true. As you can see, it's just really ripped everything apart. So in South America, I mean, just with the fact that there's so much, like you said, they have everything in the Amazon. It's
Hmm.
just really, and there's so much that's already taken from there. You have these indigenous people who have been guarding it, like
Hmm.
preserving it, living with it, not
For
only
how
just
long they
taking
live in
for
there,
thousands of
right?
years. And the fact that there's only such a small amount now, because a lot of them were genocide, exterminated.
This terminated.
I mean, there were thousands of tribes living there, thousands of different languages being spoken in South
Exactly.
America, and people have no concept that that ever existed. That's how effective it was, that
Hmm.
extermination of the indigenous people. And it's terrifying that they're still holding on. So they are the guardians that are preserving it, not only taking away, but giving back. And that
Hmm.
mindset of like, of our goal is to make the earth better from when we got here, for
Yeah.
their children, for their future generation.
Hmm.
And so that really sunk in deep to me. And once I heard the song and there were no lyrics, and Andreas, our guitarist, sent the song, and it's beautiful from the very beginning. And just naturally from hearing it, and from being in Brazil,
Hmm.
him growing up there and being able to play classical music as well, it just spoke to me, like I can envision indigenous people kind of dancing in the rainforest, just the beauty of it.
Yeah,
When you
they.
hear the very beginning of the song, and I imagine all the animals and all these things in unison, and then this rhythm coming in, kind of like this chant, almost like a, building up, and I could just visualize the song in my head. I was like, oh, this song is
It,
about,
that's the song I'm
this
gonna
is a
do.
song, and what I'm envisioning is Amazon Frontlines, what they have on their page, showing all this battle and struggle that they have.
Hmm.
And it just matched up where I was writing the lyrics and I was inspired by them. And then I reached out to them during the
Yeah.
pandemic. I was like, you know what? Why not? Maybe they would be
Right.
interested. Maybe they've heard of Sepultura, maybe not.
Hmm.
And they had heard of Sepultura, and they were extremely excited that we wanted to promote their
This one.
battle, their struggle with the song. And I'm glad that they liked the song, and it just matched up perfectly, I felt, with
That's part. The lyrics is perfect.
right,
There's a
right,
part that you say that's selfish,
right.
right? That's what happened.
But that was the one thing that was the most challenging to write, because I was looking at myself. I wasn't pointing my finger at other people. It's like, it's
What
a
we are doing,
yeah, it's like what
right?
I'm doing, which is
Yeah.
hard for people to admit when you're doing horrible things, as far as like maybe not aware of it. But it's coming to a realization that this is my part. I need to really do as much as I can, you know. So it wasn't really like about pointing fingers. It's about I was looking inside myself, like, wow, you know, I've looked away so many times.
Because that's what happens most of the time. It's they blame the others that what
Yes,
happened there,
exactly, exactly,
right? Nobody takes for their own what it
right,
happened and just blame. And instead, they just point,
right,
right?
exactly. And that was like the whole principle for me on the album was really to go deep into that with the lyrically and just not be afraid to admit when okay I've done some bad things
Yeah.
too, you know, or I've messed up as well, and but I can change, you know, it can
Exactly.
change, and so
Mhm.
um I'm just really happy that it drew attention to a lot of people, and then I saw other bands like Gojira from
Gojira did
France
it. We did one for
and
Amazon
they did
also.
for the Amazon as
Yes,
well, and very
exactly.
active. And they said they were influenced by Sepultura, and
Mhm.
it was an honor. You know, I think it's like you know a lot of people can really get on board to support you know this and come up with solutions, not
Mhm.
only you know for the indigenous people, for the farmers that are there as well. You know, I think there's you know a lot more communication and ideas that can be transpired to help those people that are living there who aren't
Mhm.
indigenous, who are farmers that need to make a living for their families as well, but
Mhm.
come up with solutions for them to create a product that's not destroying the
Trying the
planet.
planet.
You know,
Mhm.
there are smarter things that they could be growing where they can make money. Could be subsidized by the government, but
Take all the idea that the people
right
that live there, they have. I'm pretty sure
because
that they have the solution.
I mean, I mean, you just don't really get to hear too much about it. You have a lot of people like, ah, nope, those farmers they're burning the Amazon down, and we should get them out of there. And I'm like,
Mhm.
it doesn't really work that way. It's a lot more
Yeah,
complex. Those people are already there. They have families. You know, you can't exclude them. It's important to really have a conversation of how to
and they
come
get
up
that
with a
involved with
solution,
this.
not just like we need to cut them out. That will make things better. But what
Mhm.
about them? You know, you have to, it's you know, it goes much deeper.
Mhm.
So for me, I think it's that it's important that to come up with smart solutions, you know, create these. And there are solutions that we can do things much better.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And especially
And
listening to the indigenous people and the way that they've done their farming and to emulate how they've done their rotation of crops, not destroying the earth by growing certain things seasonally, changing that, changing things over and over will help maintain that soil. And it's something that's never been done so much in the US. And the soil is just destroyed. They keep planting the same thing, the same thing, the same thing. And I think there's a lot you can learn from them. So the Guardians of Earth.
that's amazing. It's tell everything. These Guardians of Earth.
Oh
It's
yeah.
amazing, and it's good that Sepultura can put their voice, right, to speak to the world.
No,
It's a,
absolutely.
right.
I think that's, you know, the least that we can do. I think it definitely can help get people aware of what of something that's happening over
And
there.
yeah, and I think that's this one and with another band, as you said, Gojira, it's doing
Hmm.
something, and I think you see also. What I want to comment a little bit about this. Uh, with the heavy metal environment,
Hmm.
everybody, do you think they are getting involved more with this? Because now we see Miley for Creator, he's vegan.
Yeah, he's been vegan for a
Alyssa
long time. Yeah,
for Arch
arch enemy.
Enemy.
Yeah.
So she's doing a great job. I
Hmm.
follow her, and she always fight with
Hmm.
for the animals,
Right.
right? And the Giz Butler for Black
Yeah, he's
Sabbath,
been a long time vegan.
João Gordo for Brazil, Ratos
Right.
de Porão, you
Hmm.
know him. So do you think that they are involved because of more bands are involved, or what do you think?
I think they truly believe in the whole cause, and I think it's just inspirational. I think a lot of people are seeing the sense behind it more than
Mhm.
anything. And like I said, health. As soon as people start realizing that their health is leaving because of the things they're eating, they're intaking, and they're losing their health, then they're gonna stop. But
They're gonna stop it.
it
Mhm.
sucks that it gets to the point where they have to have a heart attack or something severe happen to them in order to understand. I mean,
But you think once we start about talking about animals, because many people
mm,
said, "Oh, I love animals,"
right,
right? Okay,
right,
I love animals,
right,
dogs and cats.
right,
No, the animals is just only dogs and cats,
right.
right? But I think those people start seeing not only for health, because it's funny with us because people said, "Oh, you can be after become vegan, you can get a good shape, you can get." I said, "Man, it's the opposite with me.
Right. No,
After
I mean,
vegan,
that's what I was saying.
I gain weight.
No, yeah, that's
My
what I was
belly.
saying before. It's not only like you become vegan and then all of a sudden everything becomes perfect.
Right?
No, it's like you got to exercise. I mean, there's a lot of carbs involved in the vegan or plant-based diet, depending on what type of carbs, what type of how you're eating. You know,
Yeah.
it took some time, I have to say, to figure out what works best for me as being plant-based. You know, I was eating crap at first because I had no idea, but I had to learn
Yes.
about, you know, what works best for me, cooking a lot at home, creating dishes, or following other people's recipes or trying out certain
Trying out.
things. And it takes some time, but at the same, you know, you have to stay active. You know, it's important to physically to be moving and to be doing things.
Exactly.
You know, it's hand in hand. You know,
And this doesn't matter if you are vegan or not,
No,
right?
it
This
doesn't
is- you,
matter,
you
right.
have it to, right?
I think
You have
it's
to.
right. I mean, I think it's important. It will help you in every aspect of your life. You know, keeping some type of routine as far as staying physically well. Like it mentally, it has a big
Mhm.
impact on that. And I know a lot of times, especially these times, people have been very depressed, being at home, being locked down.
Exactly.
And the saving grace for me was being active, you know, not only a plant-based diet, but being active by hiking, walking, not
Mhm.
even having to lift weights. I just
No,
with
exactly.
walking,
Just
like
walking.
4 miles a day I started.
Leave your car at home for
Right.
one day, right? To go
Right.
walk or biking.
You would be amazed once you get into that routine because you start to miss it. You know, a lot of people base their days on doing routine things that make them miserable doing things. You know, it's like, why not reverse that and do things that make you feel good, that are good for you, you know?
Eh.
And walking is something that's totally looked over as far as a form of exercise, but it's a fantastic form of exercise. And every doctor, I don't care who it is going to agree with that, you
Yeah,
know? And you can do
exactly.
that old and young, you know, if you have the ability to do it, do it. You know, any doctor will tell you, like, yes, that's a good
For sure.
starting
That's the
point,
good
you know?
start. If you are vegan or
Right.
not.
And if you don't
right?
like to go to the gym and lift weights, I hate
Mhm.
that. You know,
Me
I mean,
too.
and I did sports too. I despise it. I mean, I did that as a kid. Like, I did a lot of sports and I had to go to the gym early in the morning. I wrestled, I did football.
That's like us. We're not the people that go
No.
to the gym, let's lift,
Yeah.
have stuff.
I mean,
Today's
I
10 pounds,
can.
20
I mean,
pounds.
I can do it, and I do it when if I have the opportunity and if there's a good gym or whatever. But I already started at a very young age at having that discipline of being able to get up, go to the gym, and just
Mhm.
blank out everything around me. But a lot of people don't have that, and so you know, like I said, the whole walking and setting up, you know, a routine of that is a great start.
For
Yeah.
sure.
But
for sure.
exactly that we talk sometimes because the people think, oh, okay, I got I become a vegan and make a fitness, so everything is good. I told him I don't like the fitness, the gym. Always I keep my health
Mhm.
with make some activity in nature.
Yes.
I was younger. I surf.
Mhm.
I ice skating.
Mhm.
So always outdoor in nature because I don't like so much
Yeah.
Yeah.
people
Even
around
after
me.
when you move here
Right.
to
Yeah.
Canada, we have a lot of parks here, amazing park that we can
The
walk in,
best,
can
yeah.
get involved with the animals, with everything. So
No,
that's pretty
absolutely.
good.
Yeah.
It's pretty
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
So you was talking about the people that do your own meal at home,
Right.
right? That's perfect.
Mhm.
I saw during the pandemic,
Mhm.
maybe it's two sides of the coins because maybe what do you
Okay.
think about that? Some people that stay at home start drinking alcohol,
Mhm.
start smoking,
Mhm.
start getting depression
Mhm.
because maybe they was alone,
Right.
right? They have nothing to do at home.
Right.
And the other side, we have people that start cooking.
Yeah.
We start to choose for healthy stuffs
Mhm.
and become vegan.
Mhm.
Did you see this?
I did.
Did
I
you
mean,
see about-
I had in my head, I was like, oh, this is perfect time
Because
for
I
people to
imagine
start.
I imagined you because you are being for 2 years without with Sepultura going tour, right?
Right, right.
So the most of the time he was home.
Right, yeah, and it was a shock,
Yeah,
like
again.
that. I'm sure everybody felt. And I imagine in my head, I was like, "Wow, now is the time that people are going to start thinking about their health. They have no excuse. They have no work, so they can work out or do something, create their own meals, not eat all the fast food that they were eating before."
Yeah.
But but in the end, with the advertisement, people being home and watching TV and seeing all the commercials that are like,
Delivery,
yeah,
it was
delivery
easy,
of
right? Everything's
this,
delivered at your
right?
door.
Everything at your door, you can do that. And then a lot of my friends that had restaurants and everything, people were diving into the alcohol. It's an easy
Yeah.
way, and that was the only way they stayed afloat from people buying that.
Mm-hmm.
The one I was disappointed the fact that all these government agencies didn't mention anything about as far as being healthy and helping to prevent COVID, or in helping if you did get COVID, how it would affect you less if you were in
Less.
better shape.
Exactly.
And so I was like, I thought it would be the first thing that they would be talking about. Hey,
I agree
now
with
is the
you.
time that you should probably not be drinking a lot, probably be
Mhm.
thinking about your health as far as what your intake, bring down, your weight. It will help you in fighting COVID if you do get it. That will be the number one, way of helping yourself from ending up in the hospital. But they didn't.
They
You
did.
know, they
Exactly.
didn't talk about it
They
that
just
much.
go straight to the COVID and that's it.
Right.
But
And I'd already been saying that a lot of people have already been on a decline in health. Like I've just noticed that you notice more people with like cancer, certain diseases and things,
Yeah.
and I feel that it's directly correlated with the food that they're
It
eating.
is. Totally.
It just seems very obvious that with all the processed food that's out there and the amount that people are consuming, it's just really slowly killing them.
Mhm.
And it's all it seems so connected with like, well, here's some medicine to help with that.
Yeah.
And here and it doesn't it's just like almost hand in hand. I don't want to be a conspiracy, like bringing up the conspiracy theories of this, but there is a connection with those pharmaceutical companies, with these
For sure.
agencies, and it's just like, oh, you're never getting the cure, but it's just like kind of a cycle. And as we know that with a great plant-based diet, exercise,
Yes.
you can reverse a lot of
Yeah,
those things
you can.
without medication.
Mhm.
It happens. It's like I
Yeah.
know people where it's happened. It's changed their life.
Yeah.
And you can see the joy in their eyes. You can see like, I'm so glad I didn't have to keep taking this medicine that was making probably
So
sicker.
you see the results.
Oh, you see the results. I
Oh.
mean, there's like the show we talked about that I'm doing with Tanya O'Callahan, who's another musician, and she's from Ireland, and we have a show called Highway to Health.
Mhm.
And the idea behind that was really to show how that lifestyle can change people's lives, how it's changed people's lives all over the world, how you can do certain things, no matter where you are, because we want to answer the questions that a lot of people have, that ask us, like, how do you do this? I heard it's expensive. Break all the stereotypes in that whole world, that people might have, and give them fun and easy answers to where they can understand and get on board, not to bombard them and shame them like you should be vegan, you gotta be. No, like to really have fun with them, be like, take your time, take your steps,
Mhm.
and figure it out, and you will. And so this is something that with Highway to Health and with tying it, that we were really wanted to create a TV show and things like that.
That's good.
Right.
That's
But
perfect.
just uh, during pandemic, when it started the COVID, you cannot see nobody, governments or world who the
Who?
World Health Organization.
The FDA?
No, not
The
FDA. Yeah.
CDC or
Who? Yeah.
The WHO.
Yeah.
The WHO.
I forgot the name.
who?
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody told you about the don't eat meat because the wet market
Right.
is there.
Right.
Not only the China.
Right.
The wet market
Yeah.
is around the
Sure.
world in the open.
Yeah.
Nobody saying nothing
Right. That's
about
it. That's a
that.
very good point. I mean, those wet markets are all over the world, and they're not regulated, and that's where most of
Mhm.
all these different diseases or viruses
Yes.
come from.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
It's a very concern about that, and then nobody.
right. I mean,
Don't,
it's disturbing because the amount of power that these agricultural companies have and these meat companies have over politics is terrifying. Because the fact that they contribute so much money in order to have a certain politician come
Yeah.
in that supports their industry, and that's disturbing. That um, especially in American politics, that's um, something that's allowed. You know, like big corporations are allowed to contribute tons of money to people that are just gonna, help them out in the end once they get elected. And I think that's absurd. And it's tragic because
yeah.
they have way too much power in the fact of pushing their product, which is completely held so secretive. It's not something that they want you to see.
Mm.
Why would you want to buy from a company that's hiding
Hiding-
how they
hiding things.
produce
Yeah. Yeah.
their product that you're putting in your body? It doesn't make any sense. Like, I mean, they're not transparent at all for
No.
a certain reason. And that's what I really go after people who are questioning, like, well, I don't know, like if I should change. I'm like, why would you even support?
don't
It
know.
sounds idiotic to support a company like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And as you said, you're putting something in your body.
You have
What?
no
Why
idea.
you put something that you don't know what is this?
Well, you're putting something in your body, you have no idea what it is, but you're getting it from a place that they're trying to hide that.
Trying to hide exactly.
And
Yeah.
it's not like a conspiracy. You're not going to see like any of these companies
they
come out.
hide
This
this.
is where we're getting it, and this is what we're doing with our waste
Mhm.
after we produce this
Produce.
product.
And the hard thing is, COVID is not the only disease that
Right.
we have today. We had
Even
another.
from animals, right?
Mhm.
So many diseases we
we
came
had
from
so
animals.
many diseases before COVID,
Right.
and nobody change.
Yeah, you're right.
Why,
Nothing was
why people
changing.
don't change? If COVID is here now, you need to change.
Right.
Next, nobody knows how
hmm
is
Right.
because the scientists say that if you don't stop the animals,
hmm
the next pandemic is worse.
The
Yeah.
worst.
It'll be stronger.
It's
Yeah.
always worse. Always
Yeah.
worse. And this.
hmm
Nobody
That-
moving. Okay, eat me. Don't worry.
That's why you're here.
yeah. I
Talk
mean,
about right. It's to
Right.
see. We said it here. We are not. Our goals is not to say become vegan
right.
or you go to hell.
hmm
No, never. Right.
Mhm.
It's just to show.
Right.
Right.
I
That's
think
our
it's
way
to show and to limit it. It doesn't have to be so much. The consumption level is over the top.
Yeah.
I think the consumption of any of these things, but again, it's a tough battle. I think once people, I definitely love to put out there to get people to think about it.
Just
Like
think exactly.
think about. I mean, a lot of times I don't think about. I never used to think about the products that I would support and buy, but your money, you know, you're a client to them. So it's
Yeah.
like your money is important.
They're-
So if you get a group of
Exactly.
people, they're just like, I'm not buying that product, then they're done. No more.
That's
you
two
know,
things.
the
Right?
demand is gone.
Where you're putting your money and what you're putting in your body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It's two important thing.
Mhm.
And one question that you said that many people that doesn't know. So during the tour,
Mhm.
it's easy for you to find a plant-based meal, or because the bandmates,
Mhm.
they are not vegan, right?
Right.
Andreas,
Mhm.
Paulo, they are not vegan.
No, but they definitely.
So how is your how
right.
do you do this? But during the
Well,
tour,
it's changed. Like I said, I started 15 and not eating.
you didn't
meat.
try to change it then?
No, I mean, I definitely.
I said, man, I'm not seeing it today if you're not vegan.
No, like I said, it just happens by chance. They made their own decisions. Like I'll be getting my own vegan meal. Like it started to become bigger
But it's
as
easy
time
for
went
you
on.
to find, right? During that tour,
It became easier. Yeah. At
okay,
first,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, at first it was really difficult. But then since more and more artists and musicians were asking for these different types of meals on
Hmm.
tour, then people started to change different venues. Like in the Europe, they usually cook your meal for you at the venue. So once they had more requests, because you're giving them a contract, like a writer, it's called, and you're
Hmm.
like, hey, this is what we need on the writer. We need a vegetarian meal, we need a vegan meal, or we need meat.
Okay.
So once they start seeing more and more of that, they started to um, do a little more research. Like, okay, the vegan meals got better, the taste got better. People started, you know, really getting into creating something that's very special with spices and seasonings and texture. And so things got better. And so those guys were like, oh, well, maybe I'll try that,
Yeah.
and then trying it
And
like, this tastes really good. Boom. They're already like, this is vegan? Oh, I had no idea. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I want to eat more of this. That's how it grows. Is like with taste, texture, and those things start to become better in the world of
And the other
plant-based
thing
world.
I heard about that people for that has a band, the digest it's very
Exactly.
easy and
Much
it's
easier.
much better,
Oh
right?
yeah, to do a live performance.
When you go on the stage
Right.
for your performance, it's much better because
And-
you're not full.
Right. That's what was another thing that I was gonna say. That a lot of the guys in my band, they really start to enjoy those meals because they weren't ridiculously full after eating like a meal before playing. And like I said, the big changing factor wasn't really me speaking to them. It's just in the chefs that are able to create really creative dishes,
Mm.
and it's just become better and people start to become more really into it, trying to, some people, chefs are trying to emulate meat, not have it be meat. And that's a great way to get
Okay.
people to cross over, like, oh, this week or this day, I'm not eating meat. And then,
Yeah.
or the every other day, like where they feel comfortable, and slowly phasing it
Let's
out.
get it.
So I think the guys in my band, they love a lot of the stuff now that I get. I
You're
just have like,
pushing
oh,
it.
by the way, there's some desserts there,
Some dessert. Try
and they're
it.
like,
Try it.
and I don't say it's vegan. They're just like, oh, it's vegan. They're eating it.
For sure they know that it is, right?
They know what it is,
They
but
know
then,
that it is.
they're like,
They
oh
just
my
pretend
god.
not.
They're like, oh, it's good. I mean, the desserts, I think, in the plant-based world are probably the first thing that will change people. Like, they'll never know the difference. With a
Yeah.
lot of things now. I mean, there's like
have
cannolis and everything.
They have
and
ice
cakes
creams
and
that
ice
you usually
cream.
buy ice creams that
Right.
you cannot see the difference.
I mean, even with the milk industry, which is really cool to see, like it being completely disabled. In the U.S., it's happened so quickly. But there's a brand called Oatly, that came out of Sweden, and when we did a lot of recording there, and it was just incredible because that's a big milk country.
Yes.
But everyone was using Oatly, this product made from oats. They have factories everywhere and advertising everywhere, and then they have a factory in the U.S. they were building, and those people they weren't vegans. They were just using that product because it's better. It just tastes better than milk.
Yeah.
It was like unnecessary to have even milk. So you have a lot of people just not even caring. They're like, I don't even want to use milk anymore. These other things are much better. It's like, yes. It's like through that, taste and just
Here we have a cream that I forgot the brand now. A cream that you put in a coffee, and it's amazing.
right.
Every people when I work, where the place that I work in, I
Mhm.
always tell them, "Oh, buy this cream. No, this cream is buy and
Right.
try and let me know later." They never give up. They
Mhm.
said, "Oh, it's perfect. It's
Mhm.
amazing. It tastes better than the other one,
Right. Right.
the one with milk." So it's just a chance for the people to try.
Yeah,
Right?
no, definitely. And I think there's, like I said, there's just so many great things out there now that people can try. I know I've heard people like, oh, I can't give up eggs, and
Yeah.
that's my hardest thing. And, there's
Or
products like,
cheese. For me,
Cheese
I
is-
tell the truth. For me, that's the hardest part. It was cheese.
right,
Because before I love cheese, I
Right.
eat the cheese, but now, and sometimes it's hard.
well, I gotta say, like in the plant-based world, that's
when
something that they're still need to put a lot more development in as far as creating a a very good cheese. There's some that are good
Yeah.
out there. I'm not going to say that they're fantastic.
Exactly.
I don't think they're
Exactly.
at that level yet. I'm not going to
Mm,
lie,
no.
because
I prefer. I usually actually I don't eat any kind of even
exactly
vegan.
right,
I don't eat any
right.
kind
I
of
prefer
cheese. I
probably
prefer
not to.
exactly not to
Right,
have to. So,
right.
uh,
But I think they're getting close to some because I miss cheese. I used to like cheese. I don't think about it at much at all, which I thought I would.
mhm.
But like I said, they're getting better and better at creating,
Yeah.
something that tastes really good. That's not so overly produced. And I hope they get to that point. Help transfer, the transfer of people that want to try a different lifestyle or try something different, and just having it out there. Because those companies, like I was saying, that the meat companies and all those other companies, they put so much money in
Yeah.
advertising. Just imagine if that was the opposite. If they were like, "Oh, bananas and apples looking so good." You want to have that. You'd be like,
They're-
I want to have an apple."
That's
Like
amazing.
it's like it's just still, watering. Look at this banana.
They put
Yeah.
a hamburger and banana, right?
Yeah, I mean, if they put that money behind him having like stars and celebrities behind him, I'm eating a banana. Like, oh no, dear, make my day. I'm eating banana now. And then everybody would be,
Broccoli, right?
yeah, they would be like all over, like, hell yeah. I mean, Popeye was a good example. Like spinach. Like I want to eat spinach and be like Popeye. If they turned it all around, I think it would be a tremendous change. But it's something that makes me laugh at times.
Yeah,
But
they should have more this one for pepper for this spinach because I remember when I was young, my
Right.
mother said, "Oh, eat spinach because you make strong
Strong.
like him.
Right,
You'll be
right.
strong, right?
yeah, yeah.
Do something like that."
Yes. It just be clever with it. I mean, you have to
Exactly.
fight back against these like really obnoxious commercials. It's just like this burger special with 3 animals stacked in one. And it's just like, Jesus Christ.
Oh,
It's
man.
like, how many more animals can you put in a sandwich? And is it really necessary? Like for
It's a hamburger,
daily-
eggs, bacon,
it's
sandwich
like 4
this.
animals all together from the farm.
It's a
all the-
farm there,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and it's like, oh man, that's like a heart attack special waiting to happen.
Exactly.
It's just, and it doesn't have to be that way. That's why, it's just intense at times. So I'm just like, wow, they have no limits. Even in a time like you said, people
Yeah.
probably should be changing up their diet, and that's why America, I think, it hit so badly with COVID because they were already in bad shape.
Yes.
Already, like I said, it had already been started. I was already, it was already like, oh, surprised? I was like, no.
No.
It's like, I mean, I lived in Brazil for 20 years, so I lived outside the U.S., so I had a really good opportunity to observe it from the outside.
Mhm.
And then going back, I'm like, wow,
What happened?
what happened?
Mhm.
It's radically changed in those years as far as like cholesterol that people have and diabetes and high blood pressure and those problems. And pharmaceutical companies are massive. They're everywhere, and their advertisements are nonstop.
They are so powerful.
Nonstop in the U.S. So you have like all these different things are happening as far as like fentanyl and um, pharmaceutical drugs like Oxycontin. All this stuff
Yeah.
is really, a big, big problem in the U.S. and a lot of people dying of that. And so,
Yeah, even here in Canada,
Right.
it's the same thing, right? That
Mhm.
they call the drugs street drugs.
yeah.
And it's so bad. It's
But those companies are massive. Like I said, advertisement. I mean, and I got to, what made me really so disturbed is because I was at home,
Hmm.
and for the first time in like 20 years sitting there, and I was like, oh, let me see the TV. It's like, oh my God. And it was just like nonstop. I was like, I can't watch this anymore. It's like, no more commercials, no more of these, propaganda for pharmaceutical companies that are just telling you these pills and things to take. And then they have like a claim, at the bottom, like may give you like diarrhea or death or depression or make you want to kill yourself. But I was like, how is this helping you?
Yeah.
And so that made me realize, man, this is brainwash.
Yeah, and then here in North America, it's allowed, right? Because in Brazil and South America, it's not
It's not
allowed
allowed.
any kind of
Yeah.
advertising for medication.
Yep.
Unless it's over-the-counter medication.
Right.
But even so, that's the same problem. It's not
Yeah.
not too different by the one prescription medication,
Mhm.
right?
And it's really, it sounds crazy, to certain people. They're like, oh, change my diet, change my lifestyle. No way.
Yeah.
But it can radically help in so many aspects of the problems that people are having, I think, if they give it that chance.
Yeah, you're right. So, Derek, let's just finish here. I have I'm gonna say some words for you.
Okay.
I know you have another question? Think you don't think you know. Because he needs a show. He needs to go to his show. No, he's not going.
I am going.
Their fans gonna kill us.
That is my question.
They're gonna kill us.
Here,
Which
the
question?
question. You have a song, right?
Mhm.
Uh, how do you see the future for Planet in the life for the next generations?
Oh,
When you
God.
think in your family or in your
Your son.
son, right?
Mhm. Well, I think this younger generation is pretty intelligent. They're creative. They think really fast. Uh, I think they know a lot more about certain things that are happening as far as that change is definitely needed.
Mm.
I think they're more aware of the fact of the amount of waste that's being put out, and that needs to change. It just all has to be put into action. It has to be put into not only just thinking about it and talking about it, but actually um, creating that action of, like, as far as recycling and things like that. I think would be very
It's very
important in the
important.
future.
Yes, exactly.
And I think they think a lot of that about that. So, and the importance of, like, what are we going to do with all this trash that we're creating? With this over consumption again.
Try to reduce as much as we can, right?
Right. Try to and come up with certain things that aren't so destructive for the planet. It's like, why can't we create products that aren't killing the planet and ourselves and the animals in it? Is it possible to create something that is in unison, like every species on this planet, the billion species that exist? Why are we the only ones that create trash? And it doesn't make sense unless we're like aliens or something that were like shot here on Earth. But it's possible that we can live in unison with this planet without destroying it, ourselves, and the animals in it. So I think a lot of the younger generation are thinking about ways of creating certain things that aren't so harmful. And I hope that they're able to put that into action, not only words, but I have a belief in that. At
Me
the same
too,
time,
yeah.
they're fighting against a large majority of people that don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Sorry for swearing.
Yeah, no, that's it.
But
that's right.
it's a battle because that's always been the way humanity is. Oh, the world is flat. Let's not do that. And then you have a few that are like, that's absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
And then they get burnt, or they're called a witch,
Yeah.
or they're like chased out of town or killed if they speak any of that. But I still believe it's in that mindset, and I think one thing is super important is to keep people aware of what's going on, because I think one thing I noticed from living outside the U.S. and coming back is the fact that a lot of the education system has just been going downhill for a long time, and the further it goes down, the easier it is to manipulate people as a mass when you don't have that education. And I think that's always, for me, the number one primary push or focus should be on education.
And
Always,
it's in the beginning.
Yeah,
Right.
at the
right
very beginning.
Very beginning.
Right, and I think that's
Because
super
for you to
important.
change a mind for people that's they're 40 or
Done.
30, 40, you can. Maybe yes.
Maybe a few, but
Yes.
I think it's important to start very early on, and it's super important, the education factor, because you're only going to be like yelling at a wall. You know, people just have no concept of what you're talking about,
Mhm.
and they don't understand. It's like, what, or you know, they're not going to really care. But I think it's, you know, I have faith. You know, it's grim as it may be at times, but I've known that humanity is resilient and able to
Yeah.
do so many different things that are positive and creative. And we can break out of those cycles that have damned us for so long, that have been hurting us more than anything. These traditions they want to call or things.
Mhm.
I think we can break those cycles. So I think that younger generation are ready for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay, guys. I think that's it, right?
And,
Or you just want to finish here with one more question? Oh, okay.
yeah.
I'm just say word for you, and you say just very
Okay.
fast what comes to your mind. Pollution,
um, darkness.
climate change,
um, when I think of climate change, I think of it's here. I think of the present. You know, present. It's present.
what it
Yeah.
happened. Animals,
Love.
perfect. Family,
um, ooh, first word that comes to mind. Um, I don't know if it's one word or you need.
nope. You can talk. Don't need one word. Go ahead.
Never
can say
enough
it.
time. I always feel that I always want more time with family. Yeah.
It's all that matters.
Yeah.
Planet,
Um, amazed. You know, I'm always amazed by the the intricacies of planet Earth and traveling around and how it's able to survive. You know, there's so many different climates and things that are happening upon it. It's just always magical to me.
perfect. Sepultura,
Yes, pride, um, attitude, um, and love. Yeah.
okay. And Sepultura has a lot of message to give for the world for the peoples.
Yeah,
It's
always, always.
amazing. Okay.
Okay, Derek. I don't have words to say thank you for you.
Obrigado.
Obrigado. That's a good word. Obrigado.
I love you here and your message. It's very important to see people like you fighting for a good cause.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure have you here, Erki. And thank everybody that's watching this podcast. So keep in touch. See us at the YouTube and the Instagram. Like us, subscribe at the YouTube, and don't miss any episode. Okay? Thank you. Again, thanks.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank
Obrigado.
you. Ciao.
Valeu.
Obrigado. Ciao.